Hi, everybody. Welcome back to my channel. I'm Susan Lynn. I'm a psychic and a medium. And today we're going to be answering more of your political questions that you have posted for my spirit guides to answer. So from here on out, when I say the word I mean them. I am channeling them. Very rarely will you see all of Susan pop into this conversation. I would say that I'm hanging out at about 40% of my consciousness is Susan and 60% is them. So I am able to ask questions of them and to comment, but for the most part, it's the spirit guides. And I want to take care of a little bit of business as well. I want to say thank you for subscribing. The subscriber count is like through the roof. So I really, really appreciate you. It really means that what I'm doing here makes a difference or has a meaning, and I'm not just wasting my time doing these videos. So I really do appreciate your support. And secondly, I would like to say that I mentioned in the last video that I have a new guide or a new advisor who is Mr. Edward R. Murrow, who is a very famous journalist from the 40s. And I want to say that yesterday, this man is known for being a chain smoker. And yesterday, his smoking is starting up right now. His smoking was bothering me. I actually had to pause the video and cough, and you could hear the raspiness in my voice at that point. And I want to also validate that many of you had experiences. Some of you literally felt in your body the experience of secondhand smoke or smelled the smoke or had some sort of energetic connectivity to me and my feeling of his smoke. So that is very possible, you guys. What happens is energy is energy. You can connect with somebody's energy through a video, through a phone call, through a photo, by holding something in your hand. There's lots of ways to communicate and to connect with energy. And what was happening was, as you were watching my video, you were connecting to my energy and you experienced what I was experiencing. So yes, that is very possible. Many of you asked the question, could I have also been smelling the smoke or coughing or having some sort of physical reaction? The answer is yes. I would also say that that means that not only do you have psychic abilities, but you were very, very tuned in to your psychic abilities while I was doing the reading. Now, this happens a lot, right? Many of you watch the videos that all of us psychic YouTubers do, and you sort of try to get the information just before we say it, right? It's like, play along with me, right? And that's fine. That's cool. That's great, actually. And so you are connecting to the energy. So why wouldn't you also, if you have this particular clair, we talk about clairs, meaning psychic senses, the clairaudient, clairvoyant, claircognizant, clairsentient. We have these clairs that mirror our physical senses, but our psychic senses. And so in that case, that particular clair, which would be clairsentience, and there's another clair that's very, very not much talked about, but it basically means you feel things in your body. And I would say to you that that clair for you was on fire, was connected. So let us move on. I also want to say one more thing about the event where 45 it would appear that he, for whatever reason, he quickly traveled to DC for some reason, right? Now, why do we say that? Well, because he was getting on the plane and he had golf shoes on, which normally you wouldn't wear out and about because that ruins the spikes on the shoes. And he had a weird cardigan. I mean, he just looked like, he didn't look like he was his normal prepare to travel self. And also there was some interesting things loaded on the plane. And then the next day, there's pictures and reports, and I shared this on my community page, of him meeting at the golf course on Monday, which I understand many golf courses are closed on Mondays. Perfect time, no one's there. And he's meeting with a group of men. One of those men was Don Jr. But there was another man that they've identified, and maybe one more, but majority of the men No one knew who they were. And they were all standing with their hands on their hips, and they were all looking quite serious. So, of course, you go to a golf course where there's no wires, there's no wiretapping or listening devices or whatever. This is also apparently right out of Don Gotti's playbook, right? So why did he do that? I touched on that a little bit yesterday. Yesterday in the last video that I did, I said, or the guide said, that he was being called to DC. I do not believe that that meeting with those men was the reason he went to DC. That was they're using the word scrum, which is actually a rugby term. I don't know. That was a group that was formed because of the reason that he was called to DC. In other words, what are we going to do, fellas? We got problems. Who's going to be the sacrificial lamb? Who are we going to throw under the bus? Who's ratted us out, right? Now, I want to just talk to you for a minute about this, because when I checked with the guides in the last video, they said that the DOJ said kindly come in and answer some questions. I feel like it was kindly come in and answer some questions, but it was done with a kit glove with an iron fist. So the guides are saying, would you please? But it was also, let it be known that no is not an answer, right? That's why he didn't put a suit on and go the next day. And that's why he's been radio silent. Okay. He was called to the carpet. Now, I do think, I don't know, they're talking about other countries right now. He was answering to someone, okay? I believe it was someone at the DOJ, but I also believe that it could be one of his handlers. One of his handlers that would be from another country that has a lot of control over him. Okay, he had a hangdog energy of, like, okay, I've been called in off the playground and I need to go talk to dad or something, right? And get over here right now. Don't worry about taking a shower, putting on a suit, right? He was summoned. The word they're using is he was summoned. Now, what's more interesting to me, for some reason, they're saying to the guides, is this group. Now, this group is planning something. I'm going to tell you right now, this wasn't, there weren't senators in the group. There weren't, the usual suspects were not there. Okay, because why? All the usual suspects are now either cooperating with the feds or under indictment or under suspicion, and they can't be trusted because they're being leveraged. Okay, so if the Fed has been in contact with you, you may flip. So he can't trust anybody. He can't trust Meadows. He can't trust any of those people that he would normally trust. Even Scavino just recently has been called in. I'll probably put a link to the video where the guides kept saying Scavino and I kept saying Scavini, Scavasso. I couldn't understand what they were saying. I spent 5 minutes basically trying to get the name right. And at that time, none of us really knew the guy, right? I mean, he was Trump's media guy. We didn't really, he wasn't really a name anyone knew. And we literally could not figure out who it was, right? It was Scavino. And at the time, and this was months and months and months and months ago, the guides said, this guy is going to be important to Trump's demise. Well, they have confiscated his phone and he is being investigated. So those guys out there on the golf course were all new, okay? Because he needs people the feds haven't ID'd yet, who haven't gotten into trouble with them yet. Now, what is happening in that scrum? Why are they calling it a scrum? I don't know. What is happening in that scrum is they're planning something. So they need a distraction. I mean, I don't want to cuss, but shite is going down, okay? Shite is going down right now. And they need a distraction, and a big one. So I feel that they are planning something. Now, this distraction might be He's so stupid, right? They just told me that, right, he's planning something, but there he is being videotaped and photographed with these people. How is he going to plan anything that's actually going to be of any significance? All the agencies are going to follow those people like bloodhounds. I mean, it's just, the stupidity is Olympic. It's Olympic quality stupidity that we're talking about here, for real. I have no words. Anyway, okay, so I'm not even going to worry about that, because I do think they're planning something. I do think that it has something. Oh, they just mentioned the Oath Keepers. And and do you, well, I put a lot of stuff on my community page because it's just easy for me to do. But they just said that I think the DOJ, it was actually it was a question in this last video, that many people were discovered to have been in the Oath Keepers or have links with the militia that are in our police force, blah, 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 blah. And I mean throughout the United States. They're planning something. What is it that they're planning? I mean, Trump and these people. Knock down, take down, knock down. Oh. Oh. Okay. All right. What they're telling me is that, okay, so you know how we have Lincoln Project and we have Midas Touch. We have groups that sort of work for democracy, let's just say. And then there's groups, like Fox News, that work on the other side. Well, this group of people that he had summoned there, there's that word summoned again. He's asking them to create a media blitz, advertising and a media blitz to go after 45's foes, his enemies, and to muddy the reputations of those people who may be flipping against him. So let's say Meadows or Stone or whoever ends up flipping against 45. And I want to say to you that who they're really showing me is McConnell and Lindsey Graham and some of these other elected officials that may be that may have to. They may not have a choice. Okay. We all know that McConnell is going to fight until the last breath. I mean, that's just how he is. He's not a flip-flopper. He's not like the senator from Maine, or he's not like those people that flip-flop and whatever. He is going to fight to the end. But I'm seeing a scenario where he may have to, where he can't cross this line. Like, to cross this line would be to perjure himself. And I'm saying that I see Garland dangling handcuffs, and they're quite shiny. I mean, it's like they buffed these handcuffs and they're shiny, and he's dangling them like, go ahead, make my day. You know what I mean? Like, go ahead and perjure yourself. I'm ready for this. I will put you in handcuffs. I will charge you. Right? So we're getting right, that the energy is sort of getting right up to a wall where something's got to give. The other thing I will say is that the energy is escaped. I mentioned in the last video that I did a video where I haven't posted it yet, but basically the video said the energy has escaped. It's gone. It's out. It's no one can control it anymore. It's like the Kraken. The Kraken has been released, and that Kraken is Lady Justice. She's been released, and her and Karma in shotgun are in the shotgun seat position are going to drive around and collect their due from these people. So it's over. There isn't any more finessing of the energy or really finessing, right? Because they may be able to make a plea deal, but it's going to be on very hard charges. It's not going to be on, look, we're trying to help you. Just, work with us here. It's not that anymore. It's this, you have been charged with these indictments, these charges, and how do you plead? That's it. It's game over. This is for real. There isn't any more Mr. or Mrs. Nice person here. It is what it is. The time of Mr. Nice Guy, Mr. Nice Girl is gone. So with that, I'm going to start part 2 with your questions. And I'm sorry about that very long intro. I just felt like that was very topical news, very current news that maybe we wanted to talk about. So thank you for listening. I appreciate that. Robin E. says, since there's a new guide advisor, Mr. Murrow, in the newsroom, in my newsroom, will CNN regret their new lean to the right? My gosh, CNN just gone off the deep end, right? Yes, absolutely. CNN, I just, like, again, you wonder, it's the guides are showing me sheep or cows. And honestly, no disrespect to sheep or cows, but they're running. And so what you have is Fox News is in the lead, running fast. CNN says Fox is running, we better run, we better follow them. They've made a lot of money. Let's follow them. Let's do whatever they're doing. But you guys, there's a cliff, and Fox News is about to go off the cliff, and CNN is right on their heels and is going to go right behind them. So yes, absolutely. They're going to rue the day they ever decided to go to the right. When we get our new Congress and Senate seated next year, we're going to be tackling these issues of the media and how they portray news. There's going to be some really strong laws passed, and I will be honest with you, and I've said this before in videos, these laws may preclude me doing what I'm doing. I mean, I don't know. They have to draw the line somewhere. So maybe because I'm a psychic, I'll be a laughing stock, which is fine by me, and I'll be able to say I'm whatever. How could you believe me? I mean, that's what Tucker Carlson says, right? How could you believe me? How? Right? But see, that's where they're going to draw the line. You have an audience. You have a duty to not instill undue fear, or also to tell the truth. Okay, so it's sort of like fairness doctrine that we used to have on the books, part 2. So yes, that's going to come, and that's going to change our media, and it's going to change our media landscape very much. And you're going to see a lot of hue and cry, because First Amendment people, they really want the right for anybody to say anything. Well, we just can't. I'm sorry, we can't do that. It's not, we're not educated enough. We're not critical thinkers enough to be able to consume that kind of, they're saying heretics and heresy. But I don't think they mean it in a religious sense, right? I think they mean it in a governmental sense, and that it's against our society. It's pulling apart our society. It's destroying our democracy. Okay. So yes, they'll rue the day. Thank you for your question. Zach Riley says, hi, and hi back to you, Zach. Will Beto win the Texas governor? Yes, it looks really good for Beto. I'm always honest with you guys, and I'm stuttering because I saw about 3 different things at once right then. He has to tread carefully. Okay. He has to tread carefully. But if he doesn't win, Texas will rue the day he didn't win. I mean, I'm telling you that Abbott will be out in a year. This place will, if he, you know what the guides are saying, and I know this maybe is hard to hear. You guys, this is all about lessons. If we don't learn our lesson, then we have to learn it again. If we don't elect Beto, then we've got more lessons to learn. I mean, it's as simple as that, to be completely honest with you. If Beto doesn't win, we're going to be in, deep doo-doo. Same thing with DeSantis. Honestly, DeSantis is doing worse for Florida than Abbott's doing for Texas, and that is saying something, right? Beto looks really, really good for governor. Really, really good. I can't tell you he's going to win because the system is rigged. The system is rigged, folks. But Beto will change Texas forever. Okay, so if he doesn't win, he still will have changed Texas forever. And that's a big deal. Okay. And your next question is, will Elise Stephanic win re-election? I just heard no. I heard no. So that was a quick no. So that's usually pretty good. Thank you so much for your question, Zach. Lucinda says, will my guides tell me about the economy and climate changes in Portugal? Well, they're linked, right? They're saying they're linked. The climate changes, gosh, I hate to even say this. The climate changes are dire. They use the word dire. I'm just telling you what they're telling me. I'm seeing, I don't know anything about Portugal, but for some reason, I'm seeing water. I think I'm hearing water crisis. Again, these are lessons that we're all going to be learning. I was just thinking about this morning, that the United States and Canada and Australia and Great Britain, Portugal, Europe, almost every country that's quasi or democratically governed, and a handful that aren't, are going to be going through these huge population-driven changes, meaning the people are going to start to fight back. You're going to see, if you recall the Arab Spring, right? We're going to see a world spring this spring, where people all in every country are going to say, we have had enough. We want more. We want more climate, changes. We want more concern for the climate. We want more concern for education. We want more concern for working people. We want more protections for the environment and for working people. People are very upset, and it's going to spill over this spring. And I've been saying this for a long time, and it's really coming to a head. So that your economy is what they're telling me, your economy is related to the environment. I don't know if that's mining or if that's agriculture or the economy needs to be connected to a sustainable environment. That's what they're saying. Also, there's import-export issues that are going to be happening if they're not already happening right now. There's import-export issues that are going to continue to flag the economy, drag the economy. I don't know. It's not flag, but I can't quite get the word. But these are all good, Lucinda. We have to take our medicine. This is us taking our medicine. Believe me. The United States is doing it. We're all going to be doing it. And we have to do this to change, to be able to change. Sometimes we need an economy crash so that the people can then take over and pass new laws and get new leadership in. That's just kind of how change happens, right? It doesn't happen on smooth seas. It happens when you're challenged and you realize this is broken, right? So I wish you guys all the best in Portugal, and thank you for watching. Dadgummit says, will Justice Roberts step down? His court has lost all credibility. He's showing us who he really is by saying we should accept their bad decisions. Oh, gosh. I've never seen Robert stepping down, to be completely honest with you. They just told me last man standing, and what that means is that his court, meaning the conservatives, are all going to sort of fall by the wayside, and he's going to be the last one left of the conservatives. That's what I see. So he's not going to step down, but I don't think he's going to be Chief Justice. I think he's going to be a footnote in history, is what they just called him, a footnote. Yeah, pretty pathetic, right? And he's always wanted to be a historic judge, and he will be historically a footnote. So that is what's going to happen there. Listen, all of these judges, all of these federal judges and the Supreme Court judges, they're all flirting with ethical issues, and they will be removed in whatever fashion we can remove them. Okay, whether they step down or we remove them in whatever way is the standard for that particular court. Okay, and you'll see this by next summer. You will see a sea change in the court. I'm seeing a few more women. I'm seeing a new Latina. I'm seeing a new African American person. I'm seeing 2 more women and a man on the court. You guys do not know what is fixing to happen. I'm telling you guys, the floor is about to drop out. Okay, so the floor would be our tradition, whatever we've known to be. We've always known we've had this many SCOTUS. We've always known that we've done it this way. We've always blah, blah, blah. Doesn't matter. All of that is gone. We're going to be impeaching judges. We're going to be, charging them with ethics violations. We're going to be disbarring them. Whatever it is that we can do. And I know that they're not a lawyer anymore once they become a judge, but the guides are saying we can still disbar some of these judges. Maybe they're federal, or maybe they're not even, maybe they're district judges. I don't know. But they're going to go after them. Again, you guys, this energy, the Kraken, it's like a tidal wave. And it's not going to, that's what I was trying to describe earlier. There isn't any niceties. There isn't any, well, you're a SCOTUS, we're not going to touch you. It doesn't matter. It's going to take anybody and everybody that has done wrong. That is big. That's a really big deal. It's not controllable by the powers that be. There's not going to be any little get out of jail free or get out of this situation and nobody has to know about it. That is not available anymore. There is a sense of a zero-sum game, a sense of a clearing. I mean, imagine how scared these people are going to be. They've never faced any kind of comeuppance, any kind of, anything for their actions, any punishment for their actions. Okay, sorry, that gets me wound up apparently. Thank you for your question, Dadgummit. Okay, Ruthie H says, can we tell her if Tom Sherman wins the governor's race in New Hampshire? Our motto is live free or die, but the reps are saying to make it live free or die our way. Live free or die our way is so terrible. I, for one, don't like that idea. Yeah, I don't know who Tom Sherman is. I don't know if he's Republican or Libertarian or Democrat. I don't know anything about him. I'm not going to ask. I'm just going to ask if he's going to win the race. At first they were saying no, and then they changed it to yes. So that means that he is going to go through some things. He might overcome these things at the end, like he's going to go down in the polls, or he's going to have some challenges, and then he may come up at the end and be victorious. It's still early. That can change. Again, I don't know if he's R or D or whatever he is, but that's what I'm getting for you guys in New Hampshire. Thank you so much for your question. Joseph says, what's next for Ukraine now that they've been successful in their counteroffensive and are pushing Russia back? Are they in a stronger position to tell Putin to leave? Absolutely. They're in an amazing position. It's, I'm getting chills. It's as if they got everything dialed in just right. You know what I mean? Like they got their infantry and their air and their this and their that. Everything is sort of dialed in just the right way and at just the right time. Because listen, watch my Ukraine videos back in the day. These Russian soldiers, the majority of them never knew they were going to war. They didn't have it in their will to fight and kill. Of course, there's a segment of them that are just, you know, hackers that are just horrible, murderous people for sure. But they're not a battle ready group of people. They've had immense losses. So they're going to be pushed out. Ukraine is going to push them out completely. They're going to get Crimea back as well. Again, so if you watch the videos, they talk about Kherson, and they talk about that eastern part of Ukraine, and they were drawing a band that was, you know, like, I don't know, maybe that's 100 miles or 400, I don't know. But now we're talking about the border. We're talking about a red line of fighting along the border. That is where Ukraine is going to push them and hold them. The thing that's next is that Ukraine is going to need additional resources to hold them there. Okay, it's one thing to rout an enemy and get them on the run, but to dig in, trench in, and hold them there is going to be harder for Ukraine, because the one thing that Russia has is a lot of artillery, and they can just sit there and bomb, right? So that's where I think Ukraine is going to need more help, is on the border, holding them at the border. And I do believe they're going to get this help. But that's the next kind of sticky spot, I would say. The next part where they're really going to have, I mean, I see them pushing them over the border, and then I see Russia coming back, and then I see this clashing there. So, but it's good news. It's fantastic news. It's amazing news. And Ukraine will continue to get more aid. Absolutely. They will continue to get much more aid. And Ukraine's going to lead the way. You know, this thing in Ukraine has already caused NATO to have more members. And I see Ukraine getting a really good missile defense system. So that's good. Thank you for your question. Rob Fagiano says, thanks who oversees the reincarnation of anyone's. We hear that St. Peter checks you in for heaven, but where we land after this world seems to be vibrationally determined. Who gets to choose when souls come back here, and if we're to presume there's a waiting line, and why? Why are destructive souls like 45 permitted to return seemingly without having learned a thing? Well, there's a couple of schools of thoughts on this, Rob. First of all, there's a lot of questions in here. You said, okay, so one of the things you say is we presume there's a waiting line. There's a waiting line for new souls to come here. So if you've never incarnated on Earth, there's a queue. There's a waiting line to be an incarnate on Earth. And I've talked about this before, and that is because when we incarnate on other planets or solar systems or wherever we incarnate, it's hard to grow your soul. If you have telepathy and you know what everybody's thinking and doing, there's no lies, there's no yin and yang, there's no black and white, there's no up and down. It's very hard for your soul to grow. Well, guess what? Earth is a phenomenal place to grow your soul. It is the fast track. It's like special forces for souls. You come down here and everything you learned up there, you've forgotten. Okay, so what happened with 45, right? And Stephen Miller is another one, right? I swear he's Goebbels from the Nazis, right? So what happens is 45 was up there. He got his mission. You know, you get your mission. Okay, this is what you did in your past lives. This is how your soul needs to grow. If you want to grow, these are the things you're going to want to try to do. Okay, great. I will choose to have power. I'll choose to have money and power so that I'll be tempted to use it for bad. Right? I mean, really, right? It's basically like a level of difficulty. You're not going to come down here and choose to be poor and a minority, because you're not going to, all those things that you were before are not going to be expressed so much in that soul, unless you want to learn how to be the other side. You know what I mean? How to not have power, not have privilege. Then yes, you would do that. But he chose money and power so that he could see if he could withstand the temptation. Okay, so what happens is he chose these things. He came down here into the baby, and he also chose a jacked up family, right? A family that was very cold and mentally abusive, right? I mean, he chose all of these things. This is the school of thought. This is the way I believe. He chose all of these things. He came down here, then boom, wiped. He doesn't know what his soul's path is. He doesn't know what his soul's mission is. He just knows that he's in this family, and it's, you know, he's got money, he's got power, he's got privilege, but he doesn't have the love of his parents. Now, what happens with past lives is our past lives, we don't often remember them. Many people don't, most people don't, but their energy flavors our life. So that means that if you were a really easy way to discover it would be, if you're afraid of sharks and you grew up in Phoenix, Arizona, and you never even went to an aquarium, but yet you're deathly afraid of sharks. It's a phobia. It has physical manifestation in your body when you see one on TV. Why is that? Why would you be afraid of sharks? There's no reasoning as to why you'd be afraid of sharks, unless you say you went back and you had a past life where a pirate pushed you off the gangplank and a shark ate you. Or maybe a shark almost ate you. You had an experience with sharks. So you come into this life and that flavors your life. So for him, he came into this life and he has this flavor of control, he has this sort of energy around him of, if I'm better than you, and my dad says I am, and my mom says I am, and my boarding school says I'm better than all these other people, and your past lives where you were a despot, that's going to be hard to overcome. It's going to be hard to overcome that. You can, but it's going to be hard to overcome. So that might be why. Now, another school of thought is that they're playing a role for us, that they're coming down here, literally granted to come down here to play the role of the foil, the role of the person that we all get to learn a lesson from. So there's kind of two schools of thought, and those things may actually even be, linked in some way. Hopefully that makes sense to you. If these souls came down here every time and our mind is wiped, but yet we all magically somehow knew what our soul path was, then we would all be ascending at an amazing rate, right? We wouldn't have crime. We wouldn't have betrayal or lies or violence. We wouldn't have any of that, right? So in some ways, for us to continue to learn, we do need subsets of our population to give us the lesson so that we can choose. We don't want that. Okay. Does that make sense? Hopefully that makes some kind of sense. I don't know, Rob. There was our spiritual minute in our political reading. Thank you for your question. Meg H says, hi, Susan. Hi, Meg. If Biden chooses or cannot run in 2024, do you see another strong Democrat coming forward to run other than our current VP, Kamala? I did see Buttigieg, surprisingly enough. He's quite young, but I did see Buttigieg. I see Buttigieg in the White House. Now, he might be other than Secretary of Transportation, I see him as VP or Secretary of State. I see him as Secretary of State. He's a linguist. I mean, he would be a great Secretary of State. But he might be an ambassador before that. But anyway, I don't know why he just keeps coming up into my mind. Do I see another strong Democrat coming forward to run other than VP Kamala Harris? Stacey Adams just popped into my mind. She would be such a healing influence for us. She comes after the troubles. And I just said the troubles, right? So you know what that's in reference to? Oftentimes the guides tell me that the United States is going to go through something like the IRA in Northern Ireland, and they called those times the troubles. Okay, so there you have it, right? Again, read between the lines of what the guides say. There's a lot more to each word, frankly. Stacey Abrams, I'm not thinking of anybody else right now. Adam Schiff. There's a lot that has to happen between now and then, dear. I mean, they just flashed so many things in front of me. The old guard, I'm just going to be honest with you. The old guard, the wing of the Democratic Party, that is the conservative wing, they want an old white dude, right? That's what they want. And then you're going to have all these young Democrats coming in that are going to want, very progressive, or at least someone who looks like the majority of America. So too much has to change before I can answer that question, but it's a good one. Thank you for that very much. Ron Brock says, did he already sell the secrets, meaning 45? Do any of his secrets involve information on ETs? Well, that's quite an interesting question. Yes, Ron, he already sold the secrets. You better believe he has. They're telling me he sold them while he was in the White House. He was actively selling them within the first year of his presidency, within 8 months of his inauguration. Okay. And then, do any of his secrets involve information on ETs? Yes, they do. I'm seeing those boxes. I'm seeing files in the boxes. I will say to you that 45 only cares about things that have top dollar value. Okay, so in his mind, it's like there's like levels. Okay, so like the diamond level is nuclear secrets, and then under that is the gold level, and then under that, and so the ET files are not worth as much to these countries. But he does have them. They were identified to him. I mean, at first, how do I say all the things they're trying to tell me? He doesn't care about ETs. Okay, he doesn't care. But someone said to him, "This is of what's the word? This is of there's another word before, but some word and an importance for our national security, like prime importance. There's some kind of word about potential. I don't know. It's very important for our national security. So then 45 is like, give me that file. It puts it in the box. You know what I mean? So now it's worth money. And you read between the lines, and you just heard that the guides are saying that the information regarding ETs is important, at least according to this aide who was talking to 45, important for our national security. But it wasn't one of his top earners. So sad. It's incredibly sad, isn't it? Okay, Daniel. Hey, Daniel, I'm finally getting to your question. Thank you so much. Daniel B is in the house. Recent polls show Herschel Walker gaining on Reverend Warnock. Will Warnock keep his seat in the Senate? I have always saw, for some reason, from the very beginning, when Warnock was running for the special election in Georgia, I saw him winning. And the guides told me Warnock is a very special person with a very special mission. He's not just Joe Blow, person running for office. He has a mission. Okay, they just said he will not lose. Okay. I was just going to tell you that if he loses, he's going to circle back and continue in politics. He will always be in politics. He will always be a leader. He will always be someone who's very important, not only to his state, but to the United States of America. He has a mission. So, it's a little bit low key. I don't see him being president per se, but what he does is very important. Okay. He will rise among the ranks. So they said didn't they say he will win? I think they said that. So thank you, Daniel, for your question. I appreciate it. But, continue to send light and love to all of these candidates, and to Biden, and to Kamala Harris, and to Biden's cabinet, and the DOJ, because it's still a war zone out there. None of this is easy. Even though I see us being victorious, it comes at a cost, an energetic cost, a physical, tiredness, and just on the body kind of cost. Okay, so, and I don't know, guys. I'm just going to tell you, there's going to be, as far as the election goes, there's going to be shenanigans. There's going to be cheating. There's going to be upheaval. There's going to be, they just said riots. But overall, we still come out with more seats. And even though these polls are suggesting one thing, they're not right. They're not polling the right people. You can call people's landlines all you want. You're only going to get a very slim demographic. You can text people, but Gen Z doesn't answer their text. People that are working their butts off don't answer their text. Women, all these groups are going to go to the polls, and nobody's asking them who they're going to vote for. When you start asking them and including them in the polls, I'll start believing the polls. But right now, the polls are tremendously off base. And maybe even for the first time ever, right? I mean, really and truly, like 538 or whatever it is, they may be historically wrong for the first time ever, but it's a wake-up call. It's a wake-up call. You guys are not paying any attention to a whole huge part of our population. You've just written them off. Well, now they're coming to stand up for themselves and have a voice. So surprises on you guys, right? All right. Susan Schweizer says, can I ask how we as a country in the world will ever heal our hearts and souls and spirits from the damage and stress of the last 5 years? It's trauma on a large scale. I so agree with you. And to be honest with you, it's still in play. The trauma is still in play. I talked to a client who the guides said that her daughter should be in Florida. They live in Florida, but her daughter is in school elsewhere. And the guide said that this daughter should come back to Florida to continue her schooling. And the mom was like, no, absolutely not. She's not safe here, right? We have no right to choose, blah, 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 blah. You guys, people are making decisions today about certain states that those states will not understand the full consequences of for 3, 4, 5 years. So 5 years from now, Florida is going to be experiencing some terrible outcomes. Even if they've had a Democratic governor for the last 3 years, they're still going to be experiencing terrible outcomes based on decisions that people made today that affect lives for many years in advance. So yes, you're right. It's not only the past, it's continuing. Okay, I don't say that to make you guys sad or upset or whatever. This is just the truth, right? And what does it do? It gives us an opportunity to choose. People are going to say, and they're telling me right now, this is happening in America, right? We're having an intellectual brain drain because people from other countries are not coming here for school. They don't feel safe here. So we're going to have to rebuild. Now, we will rebuild. And in some ways, it's good for the Florida dropout, right? It's good to have a clean slate so that you can choose completely new, not based on some old paradigm. Now, what is also going to happen is in the next 5 years, all those octogenarians in the Senate are going to start crossing over and they're going to leave the Senate. This blue wave is going to come in and they're going to start running for office. They're going to start getting involved in their community. They are really going to change America. These young kids are going to change America. And some of the ways they're going to change is they don't see gender. They don't care if you're trans or poly or they don't care. And they don't care if you're mixed, if you're mixed race. I often think the spirit is trying to get us to create more of a mixed race. So we're not just this or that. That maybe we're a whole spectrum of browns and tans. And there's not a white or a black, right? And there's a whole mixture spectrum of sexuality so that everything is gray. You can't say this is better than this because it's interwoven and there's not enough of one or the other for someone to say this is better. So I feel like this is where we're going as a species. In the next 5 years, these Trumpers are going to be crossing over. They just are. If you're full of hate and vitriol and fear, you're just not likely to live as long. Number one. Number two, they're older people, so they're just going to exit. So it's going to be a lot of things are going to happen to sort of help us heal and help us move past this. We're going to be passing gun laws. We're going to be passing laws for women's rights and women's rights for their own health and bodies. We're going to be passing rights for education and the environment. You're going to see in the next 8 years a complete role reversal of our politics here in the United States. But to get there, we have to hit bottom, folks. We have to hit bottom. And I know people are like, haven't we hit bottom? Haven't we been dragged along the bottom? Well, apparently not, because we're still allowing, that might not be me, it might not be you allowing, but there's people that are still making those choices and allowing the Fox Newses and the CNNs and the Tucker Carlsons to divide us, to create fear. So as we continue to choose, and as this new younger generation, blue wave, and also women in general start voting, we're going to change that. And I guess what I'm saying too is, without them saying it, I'll clarify it more. The healing, we may not actually have to ever make peace with that MAGA neighbor, because the MAGA neighbor may move away from you, or the MAGA neighbor might cross over. You may never have to make peace with these people. They may basically take themselves out of the equation, or you may take yourself out of the equation. Your vibration might rise so much that you naturally end up moving house or moving jobs or separating yourself from those people. You may separate yourself from your family or other people that are so poisonous to you. And in that way, you're healing, you're moving on. So I really feel like we are going to heal. And some of it is going to be just a natural selection process of these people moving out of our lives in one way or another. And another way is going to be these new voters coming in and really taking control of our Congress and our Senate and making it look more like America. So I have hope. I have a lot of hope for us, honestly. I wouldn't be doing these videos if I didn't have any hope. I'd be in the corner crying. So I do these videos because I do have hope, right? I think it's all going to be okay. But between now and January, just either disconnect, don't pay attention, except for to vote, or jump in and be a poll watcher and help your candidates, walk them to the car, watch after their kids at the school bus. Do what you can. Make them dinner. If somebody's running for office, they've got a target on them. We need to be their army. We need to be their support. So if you want to help, that's another way you can do that. If that's not possible for you, send them love and light. Send them $5. Do what you can. Okay. And that's going to help the healing process to getting these people in office. Okay. I'm just going to do a few more. When I'm doing this, I'm recording this using Zoom, and I don't have any idea how long I've been talking. There's no ticker. I could do this for 3 hours and you got to be like, golly, she never shut up. Moo Crazy Tennessee says, or TN says, it's bizarre how all these people surrounding Trump sacrificed their honor and careers, even serving jail time for Trump. Is there a past life connection for them as a group that has created this destructive karma? Great question. Great question, Moo Crazy. It is true, right? And it is true that everything Trump touches, like, goes to jail or has some kind of problem, right? Is there a past life connection for them as a group? Yes, there seems to be. When I look at them energetically, it's like there's a electricity. There's like an energetic, they're crooks. Oh my God. The guides just said, yeah, the connection is they're all crooks. I love that. That's their connection. They're all shifty for entertainment purposes only, and allegedly. They're all shifty. Birds of a feather fly together or stay together or some kind of thing like that. I don't know what the guides. I think the guides just murdered that. But anyway, flock together. Thank you. They got it. Birds of a feather flock together. They got it finally. Yes, there is a connection. Now, is there a past life connection? I do think there is a past life connection between 45. His mother has had past lives. His father past lives. His Ivanka, the kids have all, we call them soul family. So you have a soul family up there, and then you have a birth family down here. Your soul family up there is a group of people that you're incarnating with often, that you're trying to help each other learn things that you need to know. So you may, like Ivanka could have been his mother or his wife I think she was his wife in a previous lifetime. Okay. So in this lifetime, she chose to be his daughter, to work out the relationship in a different level. Okay. Now, also, when we've done a lot of incarnations with our soul family, we need to have a new lesson that the soul family really can't teach us, or we've exhausted learning from them, we can bring in other people from other soul families. They can, we can borrow people, we can trade. This is well, how many times have I said Meadows in this video? Meadows, Meadows, Meadows. They just keep wanting to say Meadows. Something must be getting ready to pop with Meadows and Manafort. But Meadows, Meadows, Meadows. Okay, so yes. Is there a past life correction for this as a group that have created this self-destructive karma? Part of it is just what the guide said. They're crooks. That's the majority of it. But within Trump's, I will say Stephen Miller. I will say Stone has a connection to him. Or Bannon. Is Barr or Bannon? Bannon, Miller have been in past lives. So a lot of them have been in past lives with him. But a lot of them are just circumstance. Birds of a feather. Thank you for your question, Moo Crazy. That was fascinating. Genia Klein says, fellow Texan, what does the future hold for Kim Paxton? I'm asking them. Okay, Ken Paxton is our Attorney General. He has 5 federal indictments. 5 federal indictments against him that have been levied against him for years. He's managed to stall and evade and whatever, and he's still running for office. That's how pathetic everything is, right? Where people are trying to vote for a criminal. It's just an alleged criminal. So I was asking Spirit, will he go to jail? God darn it. They just said he's going to get off scot-free. Is that really true? I mean, come on, y'all. Y'all need to go back and check that again. Please double check your work for errors. I don't see him serving time. That just really makes me upset. But will he win? I hear no. So the good news is that I don't think he's going to win AG. The bad news is that I think he's going to use his white man with privilege, get out of jail free card and cash it in and just walk away without being held accountable for whatever these indictments are. That just makes me really upset. So I'm going to try to move on because I need to stay connected to the guides. Okay, KR says, is the U.S. going to restart Obama's softer stance with Cuba, maybe lift sanctions and embargoes? Yes, I was asking that same question myself last week, KR. Next year, dear. That is going to be happening next year when we have more of a mandate in the House and the Senate. But also something happens to Cuba. There's a softening within Cuba. A softening is a really good way to put it, to be honest with you, but a lessening of their iron fist control over Cuban citizens. You guys, I'm telling you, this spring, it's like humans everywhere are infected with this desire to be free, this desire to help the environment, this desire to have more agency. It's humans. It's not just any one country. It's humanity. It's something that affects humanity. I wonder if there's some sort of astrological reason for that. That's such a fascinating thing that they're showing me. Thank you for your answer, KR. But yes, next year for sure. Marcia MC says, many intuitives feel King Charles will have a short reign. Do your guys see William as king within 3 years from now? Yes, the spirit guides have said this actually for months, that King Charles is out of touch with the people. To be honest with you, I was going into energy this morning. This guy is going to have a hell of a 3 years. He is not going to enjoy his kingship. He is going to be vilified. He is going to be blamed. Even honestly, when the blame shouldn't be his, it doesn't matter. He's going to be the, how do I say what they're showing? He's going to be the, when you blame everything on one person, regardless of what it is, the whipping boy, whatever you want to call it, he is the poster boy. He's going to be the poster boy for all of Great Britain's woes, right? Everything is going to be him. He's going to be caricatured. He's going to be shouted down even more than he has. And I think that also the Queen made a deal with him and said, you get to rule no more than 5 years. You need to give it to your son. So I saw that being said to him by the Queen, and I mentioned that in the last video. So no, I don't see him ruling any more than 3, 4. If he makes it to 5 years, it'll be a miracle, because he's really going to hate life. He is going to be the target. Everybody loved the Queen, mostly, you know, and their love of her allowed them to have magical thinking about her and the monarchy. They didn't blame her for things, but now they're going to bullseye Prince Charles for all the Lady D, the Princess Diana people, all the young people. I mean, he is like a dinosaur with a target on him. And I do see Prince William turning everything around and really modernizing the monarchy. I really see Prince William making really big strides and really being admired. And I see him bringing Harry back in the fold. So yes, I do. Thank you for your question. Barb Stewart says, are we ever going to get rid of the Electoral College? Jesus, that's a big question. Are we ever going to get rid of the Electoral College? There's going to be a big attempt made on that within 2 years. There's still a lot of power that want the Electoral College, and that power is that old guard, you know, those well, the old guard. What we're going to be seeing, you guys, is a fight between these younger voters and these younger people coming in to be in the Congress and in the Senate. We're going to see a fight against them and the old guard. And you may even see this play out against the younger Democrats and the older Democrats. Okay. It's a power play is what it is. I don't see the Electoral College going in the next 2 years, maybe in the next, within 5 years. It depends on, we're going through a sea change. I'm telling you guys, the bottom is about to drop out. So predicting how we're going to govern after the bottom drops out and we get to remake everything is very difficult. So that Electoral College might be challenged in 3 years, and it may be gone in 3 years. But I do think it's on its way out. It's not working. It's not working at all. Along with all, they're showing me our district maps are not working. The way we vote is not working. All of that is going to be challenged. Thank you for your question. I appreciate it. Woods Witch says, what is happening in Ohio? I don't know. The Republicans have refused to submit fair districts 5 times. And it seems their method of stretching this out will unfortunately work and leave the state horribly gerrymandered. It's just disgusting. Governor DeWine is crooked and running again. Jim Jordan, yuck. The only bright spot is Tim Ryan. Hopefully, what do the guides think? Well, that's interesting that your question was right after the last question. And they were talking about districts, right? Just before I read that question. The court is going to get involved. And it will be after, it will be after the midterms, but next year the court is going to get involved. And you know what I saw about the court? And I said this in the last video, but you know, we have this Federalist Society that's been able to sponsor judges that have been appointed by 45. Okay, so we've got all these judges in there that don't have a lot of experience. They're not experienced judges, and it seems that they are owned or they owe a debt to or whatever. And because of that, Ohio, these people are not worried about it going to the Supreme Court because they know the Supreme Court is going to vote their way. They know the federal courts are going to vote their way. So they're acting in shocking ways because they know the courts are going to back them up. Okay, that's our problem. We don't have three separate sets of power here, right? We don't have the executive branch, judicial branch, blah, blah, blah. So, but how that's going to change is because these judges are going down. I don't know how they're going down. They're going down. The Judge Cannon with the special masters, this new guy that she's appointed, some other judges, the Supreme Court judges, they're going to go down, meaning off the bench. When that happens, what they showed me was all these other judges, and we're talking probably 20 or 30 judges, are going to get the message. Uh-oh, we actually have to follow settled law. We actually have to follow the will of the people. And so next year, you're going to see these federal judges that have been in the pocket of 45 in the Federalist Society. You're going to see them start really offering rulings that are more fair. And so next year, things like this that you're talking about are going to be tried again. And then you're going to see these states understand they don't have the judges backing anymore. They've got to stop acting a fool. Okay, so this isn't going to continue on past May of next year, they're telling me, but it is going to be this year. And you know what? This is why we're going to have such dicey elections. This is why there's going to be people that take to the streets. This is why young people are going to take to the streets around these elections, because some of these fools are going to get elected because it's rigged in one way or another. And Gen Z is going to be in the streets rioting. I'm not kidding. This is what I've been saying for a long time. But we're going to turn it around. It is frustrating. It's incredibly frustrating. And it's incredibly wrong and anti-democratic. But we need to be able to have that shoved in our face. Because apparently, we haven't hit bottom yet. We don't know. We don't think it's bad enough yet. So we need more of this bad stuff to happen so more people will get off of their butts and go vote. There are more of us than them. If everybody finds a way to vote, finds a way to get off from work or have a babysitter or whatever it is, finds a way to vote, they feel like they've got skin in the game, despite the shenanigans that these people do, we'll be able to overcome that. Okay, so that's why we have the blue wave. Some people will get in office that shouldn't, but many, many more won't. Whatever shenanigans they create, there's more voters that are going to overcome the majority of it. So I'm sorry that Ohio is going through that. Many, many states are going to be going through that. Georgia, everybody in the South is going through that. And it's going to be on display. The crime, the unfairness, the injustice of it is going to be on display, and it's going to spark a fire in people that will become political, that will run for office, that will stand up and be counted. So in that way, it's not all for naught. It does have a good outcome in those ways. Thank you so much for your question, dear. All right. Sherry Lane says, will South Carolina ever have Democrats in office like a governor or a senator? South Carolina, governor or senator? Governor. I see Republican. I see a moderate Republican, really moderate, kind of milquetoast, but you know, senator. I do see a South Carolina senator. That's big. I do see that. and maybe a person of color, a woman even. You use the word ever, Sherry. So the guides can make that 100 years from now. So we want to be very specific. We want to say, will South Carolina have a Democrat in office in the next 5 years, right? Or 3 years? I'm going to give you 3 years. That's pretty good. 3 years is great. I mean, it's not great, but it's something. Okay. Thank you so much for your question. I really appreciate it. And I have so many questions that I don't know how long I've been talking. I'm probably going to end this here, and I'm going to do a part 3. So just, I might do even 4 parts. I might start doing these really shorter videos, and break them into multiple parts so that you guys can consume them 30 to 45 minutes at a time. So I'm probably going to even break this video that I've done into 2. And thank you so much for watching, subscribing, liking, sharing. You may consider sharing this video with your Democrat club. You know, so many people are freaking out because they don't really understand what's happening. And it looks bleak. If you don't know all the stuff that you and I know, it looks bleak, right? So you may think about sharing this with those people if you want to. And the other thing is, always take really good care of yourself. Okay, take really good care of yourself. We need you here. Remember what the guide said. If you're full of fear and anger, and that's just kind of poison, right? We don't want that poison in us. We want to have hope. There's a lot to have hope about here. All of this is going to wash out. All of this is going to work out. It's just the process. We're in the process right now of discovering some really ugly truths about our politics or about our fellow humans. And that, you know, that's sad. It is sad. And we can grieve that. We can go through the 5 stages of grief. But at the end, release it. Love yourself. Raise your vibration so that you are surrounded by other people that have your vibration. You're going to create a new environment if you do that, an environment surrounded by like-minded people. And that will be so much more conducive to being healthy and happy. Take really good care of yourselves, okay? We'll talk again soon, right here on this channel. For entertainment purposes only.